I think there's good lessons for us to learn. We weren't good enough. We expected it to be tough coming here. We know the Sri Lankan spinners are very, very good, especially in their own conditions. Yeah, but we weren't up to par. So we need to make sure we get better if we want to try and compete in this series. If we don't, then Sri Lanka will be on top of us. Yeah, I think it's just a case of our batters are trying to somehow put pressure back on the quality of the spin bowling that Sri Lanka do have. So there's two ways of looking about it. There's one is to try and sit it out and try and bat for as long as possible. But with that, then not putting the pressure on the opposition. So I think, as you rightly say, there was probably one or two more expensive shots that we would normally play. But the thinking behind the batting was just to try and put some pressure back on the bowling, because they don't give you anything, and that's the quality that the spinners have over here. So if you just sit there the whole day, then you're also not going to score runs. But there has to be an element of what is a medium risk compared to a high risk shot, especially on the wickets that we're playing, with the ball stopping a little bit more than we used to. So it is lessons that we can learn, but we weren't good enough in this game, and Sri Lanka showed us why they were better. As I said in the post-match now, if you look at the one innings that Gurunratne played, if you take that out, the rest of the game was pretty similar. There was one or two batters in the batting lineup that found it a little bit easier, and then the rest didn't. So there's the motivation for us that, if you can make sure that you keep getting wickets. It is tough coming in. I think that's the biggest difference playing in the subcontinent, is when you do lose a wicket, that next 5 overs becomes tricky. You need to make sure you get through that. And he was there the whole time for them in the first innings. Scored more than half of the runs of their total. So he was fantastic this game. And as bad as we were in our batting, he was very, very good. When we face off spin in the net, it's a coach trying to throw some off spinners at you, but it's not even the same quality as a Pereira. The shape that he has is a lot different than the shape that you can practice. You can hit 10,000 balls, but he bowls at a different shape. He gets beautiful drift, and especially today with the extra wind, the ball was drifting a lot. And if he gets that assistance from the pitch, it makes the variation really big, because one ball is going away from you and one is turning big in. So hopefully from the guys playing against him now, they can now, over the next week, go and practice a plan to counter that. You can only work out a plan if you face someone, and a lot of our guys hasn't faced him. So hopefully that will be better in the next test. I don't think that would have made a difference. We played a warm-up game which was a flat wicket. It didn't spin. So you have to give credit to Sri Lanka for, I suppose, doing that well. There's some learning in that for us to take, even when we're playing in South African conditions. The nets that we've been batting on has not been spinning in at all. So we could have come a month earlier. If you're practicing on facilities that doesn't spin, you're not going to get what you're going to get out there. And I didn't think the wicket was that bad. I thought it was actually a decent test wicket. It's obviously a lot more challenging to face spin, but there wasn't any demons in the wicket. So we're not at any stage are we blaming the state of the wicket. I'll just have to go and practice my tossing over the next week. No special instructions. Every batsman will have his own game plan that he's worked on for the last 2 months leading up to this series. The guys had the footage of all the spinners. So every guy's game plan is different. There's not a team game plan. So whatever works for you, that's going to put pressure back on the bowler. But I think your first innings runs is the most valuable thing that you must have in the subcontinent. It's going to happen if you play, whether Sri Lanka bat last or we bat last. The quality of the spin is going to get wickets on day 3 and 4 if test matches goes there. So for me, the first innings becomes really important. And as I said in the post-match now, they scored 120 runs too many in the first innings. We had them 170 for 7. So there you should, Sri Lanka, they get the tail out quickly, 30 runs. So if we got them out for 200, 220, the whole structure of the game would have changed. But we were very soft in that period. We let the tail enders pretty much boss the show. So we can only blame ourselves, and we need to make sure we learn from that quickly.